You are up now.
Okay, let me see if I can chime in so I can go live on your page, share it. Testing 1, 2, 3. So, can you see us? Are we live? Are we live? My Ray J voice.
You are.
You're like, okay, I don't see it on, so I'm gonna have to, let me go. Technical difficulties. Okay, we're ready. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to Marriage and the Single Lady. I'm here with a special edition tonight. We're going to deviate a little bit from our typical Bible studies, but we're still talking about some Bible stuff, I should say. Some spiritual stuff, some holified, sanctified stuff. I'm your host, Zondra Wilson, and today I am here with Marvin. Yes. Do I got it right? And I don't want to call you Hezekiah. Okay, we're gonna call him Hezekiah. I want to call him by his just the character name. So tonight we're going to talk about something that's I would call it brand new. I've never seen it before.
It's definitely a revamped version of something that's been in the works for a while, so it's good to bring it back to life again.
Okay, it's called Freeloaders, Renters, and Buyers. So what I'm going to have you do, let's start with you, Hezekiah. Tell us, what is it? What is Freeloaders, Renters, and Buyers? What is it?
It's a story about Sky. She's the main character. She has two love interests, Jamel and Robert. I play Robert.
Okay.
And she's torn in between. She's at a renter stage in her life.
Okay.
And I don't want to spill too much details about the play without ruining it for people. But
okay.
Something they should definitely come out and see.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your character. I know you have two love interests, girl. Tell us about that.
I do. So Sky is a young lady who is pretty much at a place in her life where she's had some experiences.
Okay.
And she's kind of in the middle. She's like, I don't really want to end up in a situation where I'm clinging to anybody because I don't want to end up back in the place that I was in before. So she's kind of trying to figure it out and find herself and figure out which direction to go in.
Okay.
She's clearly a very loyal, caring woman, but she's just at a place where she's hurt, as a lot of humans end up in, and
okay.
she just does some things that are, you know, they're human. We all make mistakes, and
okay.
we all do things as a result of our pain, and that's kind of where she's at.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit of the stuff that she's doing?
Yeah. So she's in a situation. Sky's in a relationship, or in a situationship, I should say, for my generation. We know what that is. We're not fully committed, but we're dealing with somebody, and she just kind of causes that person some pain based off of some old trauma.
She causes the guy some pain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rare.
So you rarely see women in that role, but you kind of get to see that this time around, and I think a lot of people know that when you don't resolve trauma in your singleness, it definitely comes up when you end up encountering people. So you kind of get to see that brought to life through Sky.
Wow, so Sky is going to tackle those demons.
Yes, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So how is she going to tackle those demons? Just a little bit.
Well, I don't want to give you too much, but self-assessment.
Okay.
And being honest with yourself. That's in the same way. That's the same way it is in life. If you don't deal with things, if you don't get to the root of the issue as opposed to the symptom, then you never really end up in the position that God intends for you to be in.
Okay.
So really, I guess the answer in the sum is to trust God in that situation, no matter what that may look like, no matter what that pain is.
Okay. And we're going to reiterate, this is definitely a faith-based play.
Definitely.
So we're going to call it. And give us the date is November 9th.
Yes.
November 9th.
6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay. And ticket sales, or is it?
Yes. So our information will be linked. You guys will be able to see it online. And you'll be able. It's a $10 donation in order to come in and.
It can be more.
Right.
generous, you know.
And there's gonna be an Eventbrite link, so we'll make sure we provide that for you guys.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your character. You play James?
I play Robert.
Robert, got him all wrong.
Alright.
Okay, Robert, Hezekiah plays Robert.
I play Robert the buyer. He's at a stage in his life where he's, I guess you could say, husband material, you know, and
So tell us about Robert. He's
So-
husband material, so what are some of those characteristics?
I mean, he has his things together, he believes in God,
Okay.
he's faithful and he's devoted, you know.
Okay.
And, his love interest is Scott, and he's, from playing this character, I learned that he's very patient. That's key when it comes to, you know, if you see something you wanted, it might not be what you looking for at the time.
Okay.
It could be what you look for in the future. Just gotta take patience and faith.
That's interesting, so we can just park right there. So you saw, in your character, you saw something in Sky in her brokenness,
Yes.
and you decided to just stick it out, and
Yeah.
and did your character pray about her character and say,
I'm sure he did. He don't do it. He don't.
this is good stuff?
He don't do it during the play, but
Okay.
I'm sure he does because he's a God-fearing man. So
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
And there's definitely a point where he makes that clear that he feels like this is the woman that God like has led him to. Like this is
Okay.
where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So how did Sky feel at the time when he was?
Originally, Sky didn't know how to handle it because, like I said earlier, when you go through pain, you don't really know how to meet somebody that's providing you with everything that you need. Like, I'm hurt. I'm going through these things. I'm still stuck here. No matter how
Right.
great this is in front of me, my heart is still broken from my past. So, in the beginning, she's definitely apprehensive, makes mistakes, and
Okay.
lands herself in a situation that she's not exactly happy about or with, and she realizes how big of a loss it can be when you aren't a good steward over something that God gives you.
Now, does Sky know she's broken, or she finds out that she's broken during the course of this play?
Oh, she's well aware. I think that we're all aware when we're broken. I think that
Okay.
we all know. It's just a matter of admitting it to ourselves and admitting it to other people. Like, look, this is where I'm at. This is the pain I'm experiencing. Because with admitting something like that becomes accountability.
Right.
Who likes that?
Right,
When they're not
right.
trying to work towards something better.
Wow. Oh, this is so juicy. So tell us a little bit more about what did you do to prepare for this character?
Well, this is my first time doing anything of this nature.
Okay.
You know, so I was blessed to be with an amazing cast, super talented.
Okay.
Pastor Rick showed me how to really dive into acting and get into the role.
Okay.
And all of them they really helped me out on this journey because it was a struggle at first, but it took time and they were patient with me and showed me love.
Okay. Did you identify with
He's
anything?
so modest.
Did you identify with Robert in any way?
Absolutely. I mean, at first it was kind of a struggle for me just because his verbiage is different from mine, but his
Is he
heart
more like
is
what?
the
His
same.
verbiage is different, like how?
Just certain things he say. I can't really dive too deep into it.
Okay.
But we have a lot of similarities, I guess you say. 'Cause I feel like I'm a buyer as well.
Okay.
I might not be the exact person Robert is.
Okay.
A little more laid back, you know.
Oh.
Don't like to
Yeah.
really have arguments.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
the
Robert
arguments,
is
so the
making
arguments
sense.
would have been different. Does that give you a
Yes.
taste of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I definitely relate to him. I believe in God. I know what I want in life.
Right.
You know, and he knows what he wants in life. And
Okay.
Sky is that person that he wants in life.
Okay.
So, yes, definitely
So
special.
how did you prepare Ms. Marty for this character?
It was interesting. The first time around doing this show, I was actually kind of in the renter stage in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So not necessarily putting myself in the worst situations, but just not being aware of the fact that my toxicity in my relationships is what led me to being there in the first place.
Okay.
So I didn't really want to address that. It was just kind of like, oh, I'll just go out on dates and not like necessarily be raunchy or not take care of myself as a woman. I was just kind of like living life, like not really assessing the damage that had been done to me at the time. But through the duration of coming to rehearsal and coming to Pastor Rick is like a spiritual father to me. He's been there for me since I was literally like 10 years old. So throughout the process of talking to him and seeing Sky and taking very difficult, long, hard looks at myself,
Right.
I had to realize, okay, this isn't who I want to be. I've never been that person.
Right.
It was just something that I was in at the time, but I'm definitely a buyer at this point in life. I definitely at some point look forward to a man of God finding me.
Okay.
but it definitely has been a journey to get to a point of health, to get to a point of realizing who I am, what I want, and what I need, and what God has for me in that realm.
So definitely you guys are millennials.
Yes.
So why would this speak to millennials? Why would this particular place speak to them?
It's very real. It deals with a lot of the proclivities we deal with as a generation. It's honest. Literally every person that's seen it has already been like, wow, this is something a situation I could literally picture myself in. Like,
Oh, wow.
I could see this happening to me in real life. So it really allows you to kind of put yourself in each person's shoes and figure out, okay, who am I? Like in all of this, in my life, which one of these characters am I? So.
Well, I think we have another player. Come on in. Woo! We won't beat you for being late. Welcome to our show. So since you're coming with us, tell us your name, the character that you're playing, and
I play somebody short. With the seat.
welcome.
Hey. I am Jupiter Reggie. I play the freeloader.
Oh.
Never on time.
Oh.
I had to stay true to the
It's okay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you went through to prepare for this role.
Oh man, which is interesting because Jamel is kind of the tradition. Well, I don't want to say traditional because us as Black people, we got to break a lot of those stigmas. But
Okay.
Jamel is the stereotypical Black guy. You know what I'm saying? That kind of clings to the woman, doesn't really have ambition, doesn't have drive, doesn't really care about the perception. It's just like, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jamel is that.
That.
So to kind of prepare for that, I mean, it's weird because it's kind of what could have been if I didn't have a different mindset.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really weird.
It's weird. So what we were talking about is that since this obviously is full of millennials, so how would this play appeal to millennials?
Oh man, I think for millennials, it'll give them a different kind of mindset.
Okay.
It'll give them accountability. It'll give them a reason to want to strive for something. It'll give them a reason to not want to kind of just chase the bag and do what I want to do, how I'm gonna do it, and whoever's there, it is what it is. You know, it'll give them it's like a breath of fresh air.
Okay.
For our generation, because I don't think that we have too many people that really give like the advice and really give them this is what you should do with like a blueprint.
Oh wow.
Just kind of feel like, we have to do it on our own, or you know.
Let's talk about that. So you don't think that there's many people that give you guys advice to? So what's missing?
Fathers.
No cap. No cap.
For us, I think like a lot of the generations ahead of us, there's a lot of criticism, but not really a lot of explanation as to how things need to be changed.
Okay.
And I talk about that all the time. There's kind of this disconnect, and they have this. We are a very different generation. We have a completely different way of doing things. We demand a certain amount of I don't kind of respect, but just we are different. We are separate. We understand that. We acknowledge that the problem comes in when nobody wants to bridge the gap. Nobody's talking to their children about why certain things are necessary. It's just kind of like, don't do this, that's it, that's all. I'm not explaining anything else to you, because that's what they were taught.
Right.
And we understand that. It's just, it does end up being to our detriment. We have to then go out and experience life instead of having somebody sit us down early, tell us, this is why it shouldn't go that way.
Gotcha, that's interesting. And you're so right, because I was raised like that. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So your generation is like, no, we want to know why.
Yeah. I think our generation is kind of, we're feeling based.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that we go through things, and because a lot of the people before us, they don't know how to express their feelings.
Yeah.
So now that we're in this generation, and we're like, well, this doesn't feel right. I need you to explain to me why. And it's just like, no, you go over there, you be quiet. I said, do this.
That was great.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's because for us, there's no immediate roadmap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're criticized, we're judged, but there's also no blueprint for us. So we're like the first of our kind, in a sense. You get what I'm saying? Like,
gotcha. That's really good.
yeah, I was just telling my mom, I was like, I think the reason why I didn't get whooped, when you got whooped, is because I think it was like traumatizing. You know, like, for our culture, it's like, I'm a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a dog. And since it's so traumatizing, we didn't get like beat like that. But because they held so much in, it's like, well, you just do this because I said so. It's like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So that has then affected your relationships to where you, so what I'm hearing now from a lot of millennials, this is so interesting, everybody, in the relationships is that the men are saying, like the women are saying, like, well, I'm not showing any emotion. Like some of the women will say, I'm not showing any emotion and I'm not gonna show you how I feel or whatever. I've never heard. So where is that coming from?
Because people are honestly so tired of being hurt. I can speak from a woman's perspective. A lot of the women that I know, they are so tired of being hurt that they're like, I'm not even gonna give you the opportunity anymore. And in that sense, and I notice a lot of women nowadays, you know, women hear the word submit or be submissive, and they're like, oh no, absolutely, I want and it comes from the fact that that's looked at as such a derogatory thing because we don't have men leading. You can't, like, it's the blind leading the blind nowadays. Like, if you're not putting me in the right situations, then I kind of don't want to be in this middle place. And men have kind of been, not all men, I won't say that because I don't like, you know, putting that stigma on men, but there are a lot of men who just kind of, they've been kind of living life their way in relationships, and women are like, okay, I want my piece of the pie. So instead of doing the right thing and staying healthy and being the change in the situation, they kind of are morphing over into the unhealthy patterns of a lot of men. Okay,
do the men know that?
Yeah.
Or do they really think that they are on the right path?
I mean, it kind of takes parenting, you know, like as a man who was raised by a single mother, I feel like throughout my life I always had father figures still, like, because I was always in church or sports, and I was just blessed to be around good older men. And my mom always taught me to listen and not talk, so I was always hearing and I held on to what they were saying. So by the time I got older, I was able to put it into action.
Okay.
You know, I feel like a lot of households don't have the men leading or showing anything besides what his character sees. You'll see it in the play, but a lot of the men don't hold their own. They're carried around by strong women.
So is that why we have, well, let you speak, you have to add on to
Oh
that.
man, it was opposite for me. I was
raised with the mother and father?
Raised with my mom. I didn't want to do sports.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't that black kid.
Okay.
You know, the stereotypical, my name is Trayvon,
Wow.
I got a basketball game.
No, seriously.
Like, I wasn't that kid. I wanted to dance and sing. I wanted to entertain.
Okay.
But there was no solid father figure all the time.
Okay.
You know, so it's.
So how did you get on the right path? What led you?
Oh man, movies. I'm gonna be honest with you, because
Seriously.
For kids that don't have, outside of Pastor Rick, of course, but for kids that don't have like a solidified father figure, you're literally being something you have no idea what it is. So when some women get upset and they're like, well, you're not doing this, like, well, I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to really teach me instead of trying to beat me upside the head with emotion, do this, I don't like this. And you're just like, well, wait a minute, I've never seen this before. So I'm trying to really, I'm being a character, like I'm being a ghost right now, like I'm a character, I'm a shell. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the inside, I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
I think to speak to that, I just want to say if more women focused on finding happiness within themselves and within God first, they would stop putting those expectations on men. Because I can't expect a man to give me something that I can't give to myself. Like if later on down the line I'm in an emotional space and I'm going through it and I'm like, you're supposed to help me, you're supposed to be this for me. Like I can't expect that of him. That's something that God was supposed to do before you got into that. And Pastor Rick has told us for years, and we hated hearing it as youngins, but I say youngins, teenagers, but like we were just like, no, he was always like, stop dating, don't date right now, you don't need to date, focus on you. And I hate being somebody who has known they wanted to get married since I was like 5. I hated hearing that.
Oh wow!
But now being older, I'm like, okay, I get why I need to be single. There is so much that's in me that took place far before I started even being attracted to men. That I had to address. I had to come to the acceptance of, like, okay, God, here, this is the issue, this is the root. I need you to help me. Clean out that closet, do whatever you gotta do to put me in right position for the man you desire for me to have.
So what are you guys finding out there, that I'm gonna ask you, with the women that you're dating?
They don't really know how to let a man be a man. You know,
Okay.
like,
Give me an example.
open the door.
We gotta be men too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
But like
that's
simple
the crazy
stuff like
part.
open the door for them. They feel like I can open my own door. Why you open up my door? You know, it's just something
Right.
different for them because not a lot of men do it.
Right.
You know, and my mom always was the one. Boy, you better open my door.
Right.
You see me with these groceries?
Right.
Always tell me do this, do that, and she always made sure I did the man stuff whenever I can from a youngest. I was like 5. You know,
Okay.
so as an adult, that's what I like to do for women.
Okay.
But receiving that is difficult for them because they want to be like, I can do it myself. Because they've been doing it themselves and they've seen people or strong women do it themselves. So it's
they're
kind of hard.
resistant to you. Right? So how does that make you feel when they do that?
No way, it just makes me feel like, okay, let me show you how a woman should be treated.
Okay.
You know?
All right, ladies, you do this.
I'm single.
Which is crazy because my grandmother, she didn't got so used to my grandfather opening doors. It's to the point where
She's standing there and wait.
if they're in the car,
Look at you like-
if they're in the car and he gets out, she do just like this.
I know that's right. And watch it.
Like,
And when the door opens,
Thank you.
then she get out. If
Right.
he just get out and walk away, she in the car like. So yeah, I mean it's crazy, but some of the women that I've seen, apart from like my girlfriend, of course, because she's amazing. However, other women that I have seen, and I've said this before, my biggest pet peeve is when they always call their dude the N-word.
Oh,
That is my big
MG, like it just hairs on the back of your neck.
like, dear Jesus, if I was single and I ran into a woman, she was like, oh, I want you to be my, I'd be like, you know what, listen.
Oh, so that's how they address, so can you be my...
Oh
Yes.
yeah, or that's how they refer to them is my N or my B. Like,
Yeah.
that's the culture.
It's not attractive.
Right, exactly.
The women say that? The men say that about their women? That's my B?
Yes.
I mean, not all.
Oh, I can sleep.
Not all of them. But
Yeah, I know what you think, that's the norm.
definitely
Yeah,
is.
like
Yeah.
what's put in your face is you can disrespect the person you with, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So how do they feel about, so when you guys hear that, do you correct or you just kind of?
I wish a man would.
Man,
Like that's something I don't tolerate. I don't do not ever address me like that.
Mhm.
Like especially in the beginning stage. Oh, I'll cut you off fast.
So that would be
Like,
my
you never-
question, since that's the norm, and let's say a gentleman came and he didn't know, because that's what we're talking about with the freeloaders, renters, and buyers, is that they don't know.
Yeah.
So would you then try to correct him and then give him another chance, or is he automatically dismissed because he's just way too?
For me, it depends. I'm very careful on the type of men I allow myself to. It depends. And the only reason why I say that is because it depends on the kind of situation. Like, I don't allow that kind of thing to happen. I assess what kind of person you are in the beginning, and if I feel like you're not a candidate, then you get cut off early. Of course, you're allowed to make mistakes. I don't want to make it seem like as soon as you mess up, oh, he's out the door. But like certain things for me should be like common knowledge. Like certain things you should know from the beginning. Do not disrespect me as a woman.
But you're saying a lot of them don't know, right?
A lot
They
of-
thinking it's normal.
They think it's normal because
Right.
of what's seen around them.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, I don't want you to be like everybody else. I want you to have a mindset that's different from everybody else. If you are a man of God, or at least somebody who's been raised in that kind of environment, then you already know better. And you're only conforming because of what you see.
Gotcha.
I have a problem with that.
Gotcha.
Do not get stuck on that because of, oh, I've developed this bad habit and I want to treat her a certain kind of way because this is what I see around me. No. If you've had solid, and for me, family is very important. But if you've had solid examples around you, then you know better than to put your girlfriend in that kind of situation. You know better than to put your man in that kind of situation. Like, because it's degrading. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
don't,
yeah.
that's not how you address your king or queen or somebody that
Come on now.
you really plan on being with and being serious about. So stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, no, you gotta go.
But what throws me is a lot of us, we choose to be oblivious. Like, when you see something, you know, they can say, hey, and you be like, yeah, I'm not gonna be with you just because you said the. Like, your TH, your E, just, you know.
We just ignore it.
Right, we just choose to ignore all of that. So I think when a lot of us get hurt, we do it to ourselves. Like, you knew from jump you wasn't supposed to be with that person.
Yeah, I feel like all the red flags are there in the beginning. And people choose to ignore them because our generation rushes into sex. And then they get a cloudy vision, and they choose to ignore things that they wouldn't be cool with if they weren't having sex. And then after a while, it gets old, and then all the issues come up, and then that's why they break up. They never nipped in the bud in the beginning, because everything's fixable, it's possible, but it's about what you want to tolerate and what habits you create, you know.
So let's talk about the SEX word. So with the millennials. Okay, so with millennials is, so one of the things I hear is that on the first date, typically that's what goes down. So what about in the Christian millennial community? Is that still the same?
No.
It shouldn't be. I will say that. But there are a lot of people out there.
What percentage would you say?
Yeah.
Over 50?
Honestly, I don't know, because I'm not having sex. So I really don't know, like, what that looks like. You know, I don't like generalizing the whole situation, because I feel like it wouldn't be fair of me to put a percentage on something like that when I don't know what's going. That's why I hate when women say, "Oh, men are dogs." Like,
we know
how can you say you dated all of them?
Just
like,
literally
all of them.
So what made you not have sex?
Man, it was something that was like on my spirit pretty early on. And then we actually had an event at church one time, and there was these two guys. They were twins. They were Christian rappers, and they rapped this song, and it was called "I Will," and it was basically talking about "I'll wait for you." Them saying, "I've never seen a Christian man come say, I will wait for my wife. I'm waiting for you until I take that step."
Come on now.
So that already being in my spirit, it was just like, for me that night, I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I got confirmation. My parents got me a purity ring, and it has definitely not been the easiest journey. I can be honest about that. But to me, it's definitely going to be worth it to have that exchange with my husband.
That's what we're supposed to do, though.
Yeah.
So to me, as Christians, it should not even be.
But
it is.
But Christians are humans, and that's what we all have to realize. It doesn't make it okay, because we definitely have to be careful with the situations that we put ourselves in.
Right.
But we are very flawed human beings, just like everybody else. I think the problem comes in when it just becomes the norm, and it's okay, and everybody's doing it. Well, it just feels good to me. So, because if you keep God in the forefront of your mind, which isn't always easy to do, especially when life comes in, it definitely is a helping factor to stand on that right path.
Okay. Gentlemen?
On the first date, no. But because that was the question. You know what I'm saying?
On the second date.
Because this is a big part of freeloaders, renters, and buyers. The sex is what gets a lot. It complicates things, right? So we can all agree on that. So, and then, like you said, we're all flawed, and I get it. I've been abstinent, abusive, and celibate, so I get the journey. So when because I'm divorced, so in my audience, you guys know this. So for me, it's been 20 years. So it's been very, very difficult. And so you have to put in boundaries. So when I'm talking to people, and y'all looking at each other.
No, because that's amazing. Like, it's hard.
No, I get it, trust me, especially when you haven't, that's why I teach my youth. It's better that you not know than to know and then stop.
I can agree with that.
So that is what I'm telling you. It is better to wait. So because that's a struggle that you're going to have. It's going to be very difficult. And for me, that's another whole show. But that's why I was a youth teacher for years, and I would tell my kids that it complicates things. And the pressure is when you do fall in love, or when you think you like the person, and then that's where you end up with the freeloader. Because we call him Pookie. You fell in love with Pookie in the hood. Pookie don't have a job. Pookie got other women. Pookie this, Pookie that. And then we're in love with Pookie.
Pookie is
That's crazy. So that's why I think that this is very important, because if we took that out of it, then a lot of this would be easier. Not easy, but easier.
Those signs would be a little
Exactly. So then how come we don't just practice that more, in your opinion, with the millennials?
Don't look at
You
me.
look at it.
I don't know. It's just, it's not really talked about. We just follow in the pattern and
So would a
expressing
guy
our wishes.
realistically not want to be with a woman like that say, you would have to wait on me? Just keep it real. It's a very difficult.
Most probably won't.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't think.
But I think it's
It's
more
a
of
game.
it's an intimidation thing. Like thinking
It's intimidating.
like some men feel like, well, for me, from my perspective, if I marry a virgin, it's like, wow, I'm honored because she waited for me.
Right.
I'm special.
Right.
But I'm not a virgin. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
am I letting my end of the ball down? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not good enough in a way because she's a virgin. She has her things together. You know what I'm saying? Like she's the complete buyer. There's no faults in her game. You gotta be up there. You gotta be a special man for that person.
Okay.
Huh.
You just said that's a game, and I want you to explain that.
It's a game.
Come on
I
now.
mean, because I, made the decision to be celibate. Lord God, it's difficult. However,
Yes, praise God.
it's a game. I
Tell me about the game, huh?
before I was celibate.
Or abstinent. I think celibacy is when you never.
I thought it was backwards.
Yeah, it's abstinence
Yeah,
when you
abstinence
never,
to-
and then celibacy is
you
when you
stop. Yeah.
Both the same.
When I was
Either way,
Tomato,
either way,
tomato.
we're waiting.
When I was
Tomato.
single and non-celibatorial, there's, it would be, it's a game. Like if a woman were to walk up and say, no, I'm not smashing, I would go, oh, okay. We gonna see.
Ah.
Like, it's a game for some.
Gotcha. So she shouldn't say it at all? Is that what you?
I think she should say it because you definitely have to put that boundary there from the jump.
I said that. Now when I said that, they yelled at me. Oh, that's
It depends though, because I've tried both approaches. I've been that person before where I haven't told them at all.
Okay.
And then I've told people up front. But I understand now that it is okay for a man later on down the line to decide, even if this wasn't something that I signed up for, you are worth it. I think that that's okay too. You just kind of have to gauge the situation. Because some of these men nowadays, that will set off an alarm in them. It will set off a bomb. Like, you played me. You had me thinking this whole time that I could get to something, and now you're telling me I can't have it? No, that's not okay. And they'll call you out your name and do all kind of stuff. It depends on the person it is. Because I've had guys be like, oh wow, you're a virgin. Wow, that's so nice. That's cool. That's totally fine with me. And then 3 months later, they're either trying it again or they've ghosted you.
That's what. No, when I said that, to ignore me. That's exactly what happens and that's what angers me. And I'm like, well, what's going on with the game plan? So it's with the older generation too. It's not just with the millennials.
Here we go.
So when you're
y'all got the Jodeci with the slick back. Hey, let me talk to you a little bit.
No, but typically people want to kiss and hold hands and things of that nature. So if you're not doing any of that, so are you just like not gonna ever be with someone?
It depends on. I feel like if you pray about that and you can continue to hold out, I definitely think God can bring that kind of person to you. But it's case to case.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not completely against affection later on down the line when I'm in a relationship. But boundaries still have to be set in place because we are both flawed humans and we will slip and fall.
Right.
Like, I'm not about to go play in the rain and think I'm not gonna slip. It's just not smart.
Stick your hand on the oven. I ain't gonna burn.
This ain't gonna be hot. Like, no. Definitely be smarter. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying.
She went outside and rain and started running. I ain't gonna fall. I'm gonna
Okay, gentlemen, want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I agree. I think you have to set a boundary, even though it's a catch-22, it's a double-edged sword. I think you should definitely set a boundary.
Okay.
Because you don't want to lead somebody on.
Right.
Even if you're not leading, you just like, hey, I'm kind of just trying to go to the movies. And you out here getting crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think you should set the boundary, and I think it should be set. But again, for some men, I was almost said some of us, but I'm not at us no more. Praise God, lift up your hands from my mouth. For some men, it's a game. It is.
Christian men?
Listen.
Oh, they're
Men in
not
general.
good.
Look, Christian mingle, hashtag, throw it, the whole thing. It don't matter. It don't matter. I think, Lord, don't I think some Christian men are probably some of the biggest predators.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Keep it real.
I only say that because it's like you have the stigma, you have the perfect posture and the good teeth, and you got the suit, you know what I'm saying? You got the Jag or the caddy, and you walk in, you like, yeah, you know, Jag or the caddy, you know, and then Miss Zondra walk up and hey, how you doing? Hey Zondra, how you doing? Yeah, you want me to pray for you? Yeah, you said it's what pain on the small of your back for me, Father. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of that persona. It's you're treated like a celebrity when you're Christian. People love you, people hate you. And when you love, everybody will love you. When you hate it, people want to know why they hate you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it could be dangerous.
Slow.
I mean, it's been talked about so much. I feel like
He's like, I'm done.
avoid. No, I feel like if a woman wants to stay celibate, or the two words, you know, they both the same to me. No sex, you know what I'm saying? If they don't want to have sex, then don't provoke it. Don't put yourself in a position.
What are some of the things that women do to provoke?
Men and women. I mean, like,
seriously,
go on a date, don't go back to his house. You know what I'm saying?
And don't eat no oysters.
Don't
what's
watch
in the oysters?
Oysters are aphrodisiacs.
Oh,
Don't eat no
see, I've been
oysters.
sleeping.
I'm gonna let
We
you
try to
shell
take you
fish.
to a seafood restaurant and get some crab legs. That's it. Don't you touch them oysters. Ain't no oysters around here.
No oysters, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
See, I'm learning from the young folk. Learning from the young folk.
See, I didn't know that myself.
Okay.
We learn from each other. See, that's the thing about millennials. We do learn from each other a lot.
Definitely.
Like, I don't eat seafood, so I wouldn't know nothing about no oysters, you know, but just don't go back to the crib and watch Netflix. Don't do none of that, you know.
And did you hear about Netflix and chill? Is that what?
No, she can watch Netflix at her house. I can watch Netflix at my house, and we can talk about it.
Y'all can FaceTime and watch Netflix at the same
Yeah,
time.
because it's too much temptation. I don't deal with temptation.
Okay.
Even in a relationship, like I don't put myself in a position to where girls can flirt with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even want to have to deal with it. I don't even want her to walk by and it look like I'm flirting at
Why is
all.
she
You know what
talking
I'm
to you
saying?
like that? Because I'm not gonna lie, as a woman, I've been in situations where I got mad at him because somebody else was. Why you make her feel like she could? What did you do?
Yeah.
Like,
all we do is say
I done had to correct myself. I can say that, but it happens, you know, because you can be like, I can definitely say about both of them. They're very charismatic guys. They're really easygoing, really cool to talk to. So it's easy for a woman to kind of see that and be like, okay, well, there's something different about y'all than most people. And especially in his situation, with him having a girlfriend, it's like, you gotta be careful with that. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So again, freeloaders, renters, and liars. So are you guys excited or what?
Definitely. Anxious.
Like beyond, yeah, I'm ready to see the reactions from people.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting? Just
I'm not.
no expectations? Just
I don't want to expect something and then it doesn't happen.
Right.
You know, so I just want to go in. I just want to see reactions. I want to see, dang, that's me. Dang, that could have been me. Dang, that don't need to be me. You know,
right,
like
right.
okay, I'll say this. If I had to set an expectation, it would be that somebody sees themselves
Yeah.
and changes it, or sees what they could have been and decides to not do it anymore.
Okay.
That would be my only expectation.
Wow.
Same here. I was about to say that. Like, I want people to, because the play shows every side and everyone's been in each position. You know, maybe not the freeloader, but you've definitely been with a freeloader and been around one and experienced one. So it's cool because it gives you every aspect, and then you're able to feel freedom and actually change after you watch it and get some learning and healing from the play. So I think it's awesome, especially for millennials. Like, if you come, bring a millennial with you.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. It's not just for millennials, right?
No,
No,
definitely
it's
not.
for everyone.
But it's good for us to have these kind of forums and to have the conversation happen, you know,
Right.
and to kind of see things from a different perspective. Because nowadays everything is relationship goals, but nobody's really addressing the work that needs to be done for it to actually be healthy. It's all about looking good on Instagram or looking good in a box or off.
Well, Pastor Rick, you want to come in and give a couple of final words? I cannot wait.
Can y'all hear me okay?
He took.
You got a fancy mic, y'all.
I know the mic to the
Fancy.
Amen. Hey, everybody.
Okay.
What was your question?
Well, if you have any final word, tell me this. How did you come up with this concept?
Let's go. We're going some youth. No. It's the fact of the matter is when my wife and I, we took over dealing with the young people. I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't necessarily my choice.
Okay.
And we had to learn how to relate to this generation. So over the years, we had to come up with different concepts, glean from other ministries, glean from other people who wrote books and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought came to me is like, how can I relate to them on a level where they're at? Because unfortunately, even statistically right now, millennials just go from one relationship to another and never healing from the one they got hurt by.
Yeah.
And so the Holy Spirit just gave me the understanding of how to relate on that level. So the whole concept came up on how do you separate these three categories where people are understanding. You want to go to the latter. The freeloader, the renter, everybody's been there, everybody's been one. If they're a lot of adults, come on. And don't let these folks fool you. People have been a renter or a buyer.
Yep.
And, excuse me, a renter
freeloader,
or a freeloader, excuse me. And so I say that because it's one of the key things that we had to learn how to relate. So that
You've been a freeloader?
No, absolutely. And it's funny because what we do, this is not a judgment against a freeloader or a renter necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm just giving the understanding what they are. And I'll give you some insight. Each of their characters break through what you call the fourth wall. And they start talking about how they are, how they became that particular character.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say why they became the freeloader, the renter,
Right.
or even the buyer. And you heard some elements here, but that is the whole premises of letting people understand that, listen, because they're there, we were once there as adults,
Yeah.
or as youth also at one time.
Yeah.
And some still are. And this particular, I call it an ensemble. My wife, she said, it's a play, whatever. The point is,
Illustrated sermon.
yeah, no, it's relatable to all ages. The twist to it at the end, and I'll give you an insight on this, is that we leave the ending ambiguous. It's wide open. We engage the audience at the end, and they make the decision what Scott should do.
Yeah.
So there are three levels. Does she stay with the baby daddy? Does she pretty much marry the guy who's going to propose to her? Or does she stay single with her kids? And now the audience now gets to decide what she should do.
Wow.
So that's how pretty much we start engaging the audience which makes it different. So believe it or not, and someone say, oh, it's a workshop. You can call it whatever you want. Just come out.
Yeah. Just be here.
And because we need that feedback.
Right.
And we may change certain elements and so forth, but we need that feedback. But the key thing is the audience is engaged, and they'll give their points of view. And what it does on a psychological level, it shows them where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Let it be on a relationship they've experienced, or their daughter's going through it, son is going through it. So it shows them something about, hopefully giving some insight on what can change for them, that daughter or that son, or them to become a buyer.
Okay, so
Yeah.
definitely some healing. The whole purpose of this is
Absolutely.
complete healing.
Absolutely, because right now because of dysfunctionality, forget it. The dysfunctions in relationships, and y'all forgive me, I'm a little tired, but when you have dysfunctions in relationship, it comes from a place where either communication not happening, some issues are going on within us personally, and we have to learn how to really communicate on how we feel, but yet alone not be led by our feelings, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the premises of what we're trying to do. Make sure we're talking, communicating, finding the right people.
Right.
Finding the right people to pretty much be a part of your life. That one person, Father. That one person. One. Yes, one.
Get married.
So once they watch freeloaders, renters, and buyers, and they understand that they need the healing, then what will be their next step? Do you have Recommendations for counseling services?
I'll let the council back, absolutely, we have, literally a script going on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice, very nice script, and it's written by, Mr. Anderson, Leon Anderson. Don't sleep on him, the powerful young man, a millennial himself, and, helped out with this script, and I praise God for him, but, the whole point of it is making sure that we have a workshop going with it.
Okay.
So we go into different ministries. Right now, we're talking to someone who has connections to colleges to go into, to really sit down and have just that conversation with everyone about healthy relationships. If you're not, one of the premises that I touch on is rules to engagement, winning the war on love. So the thought is that, and one of the things I teach these guys, and I hate that I'm saying it, but it's the truth. They have to learn how to be comfortable by themselves, love themselves, not allow themselves to be bamboozled by somebody who doesn't have the same agenda. So in other words, it's value yourself. You learn to value yourself, you'll be able to literally go into a healthy relationship because you'll know what you want. The word says this: love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. And second to it, love thy neighbor as thyself. The key word there, in between it, believe it or not, is thyself. You cannot love your neighbor unless you love God and yourself. So loving yourself, that doesn't mean be narcissistic or be in a place where it's all about you. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having a healthy relationship with God and understanding that you have to have some boundaries in every relationship. And building from there, now you can have friendships. If you're a horrible friend, how you be a good girlfriend? Or a good boyfriend? And get along, get married. You have to have healthy relationships around you in order to really know yourself. So that's how we started off, and then we started going into the dating. Those two steps before we go into dating. The dating aspect of it, everything's blurred. There's no commitment. And it's funny, I took a poll with some of them not long ago where the discussion was that, okay, when does a person know that you guys are committed to one another?
When is it?
I'm curious, go ahead, tell me.
For me, I need to be clear. I can't speak for anybody else, but we need to be very clear. Let me know. You need to ask me, are you ready to go into this next step? Are you willing to be my girlfriend, or for the women, are you willing to be, well, really, you shouldn't be asking him that, but anyway, that's all another subject. You might feel away about that one. But yeah, definitely, there has to be a clear discussion. I think that's where lines get blurred, the fact that we don't like communicating, because it's an awkward conversation, and you feel like you asked him too soon, and he's gonna run off if you ask him, so.
Come on, now, when I said it.
No, see, that's different.
It depends, it's all about timing now.
No, your audience knows you. Your audience knows you. We already had.
What we doing?
I cannot. So what are we doing? Because I'm not having my time with this.
No, really, and you have to ask these questions in a sense.
But when? I mean, they never answered. So when is it?
It's not a certain timeline, it's just communication, like she said.
Okay.
You have to communicate how you feel. If you feel like three months is enough, that's on your relationship. Every relationship is different.
Okay.
I've dated my ex for a year and a half before I even asked her, but wouldn't even think about it. Really, it just happened, So I don't have a timeline.
We don't know how to talk. We don't know how.
Yeah.
I think, but no, I agree. I don't think there's a timeline. I think there should be a conversation about when you guys are together, because you can be around somebody. Case in point, you said you dated her over a year.
Yeah.
The entire time, one of them could have said, okay, we're a thing, and the other one's like, well,
I'm over here doing my thing, dating other people.
Right.
You feel me?
So
Like,
you're dating other people, so that's the whole point. So but then how come you weren't, and I even if you weren't dating, see, I'm all confused.
No,
these are good questions.
Our generation is a little different. The fact is, are we together? We're together. It's boom.
Yeah,
It's exclusive.
Yeah.
They don't have that filter.
We don't
Shut
subscribe
up!
to that.
Y'all don't do that. Shut up.
Some of us, though, I'm a little old school, so you're not about to date me for a year and a half and think that we not.
So what are y'all doing?
No, I wasn't dating other people.
Yeah, I know.
The thing is, I felt like we were exclusive to the point where I didn't even remember to ask. That was my girlfriend in my head. You know what I'm saying? So me asking was I never asked her. It was one of those like moments, and I was like, okay, let me figure out plan how to ask her. So when I ask her, it's special because I missed a whole year and a half of asking.
Yeah,
You. So
because I understand how the women would be hurt then.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine dating. I'm more vocal. I'm like you, so we're not gonna go no year.
No.
And I don't know what we ain't gonna go too long, and I know what we're doing. But I can see, because if I'm just thinking and then I can pop up tomorrow with my new man.
But I think in his situation, it was about his intentions. He knew his heart was pretty much set on this girl already, which is a good thing. He got lucky to be with somebody who wasn't like, well, I'm gonna go date him because you ain't told me nothing.
Yeah.
But for me, I think even if she was curious, that still should have been a point where she asked, like, so what's going on here? Because we're not clear. Because you put yourself in a position to end up where, well, this other guy over here is interested and you haven't committed to me. Because then I start thinking it could be commitment issues, it could be a lot of stuff, which is why, like I said, that communication is crucial.
Or you can pop
Just
up
so
married
that-
tomorrow. And then
Yeah.
really, I can't be mad at anybody but myself.
Because I didn't ask.
Yeah, you want him.
But we both felt the same. And
Yeah.
I was introducing her as my girl. She was introducing me as her man.
Oh, y'all never had to actually like
I
that.
never formally asked her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's different. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she was out here dating other people, because I would have been hands off, because I don't share. That's not my thing.
But that's the whole point, I guess, what we're talking about, that she would have known.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely,
the thing about
absolutely.
now is, and I guess that would be people, like, I guess communication is, I get why you're doing it. You gotta say something, because I wouldn't know. I would pop up, I'm engaged. You know, I know we was picking at the movies yesterday, but
Oh, no.
here, but I wouldn't know though. Hezekiah, I wouldn't know, because I'm not gonna bank on you. You know what I'm saying? If you never committed to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna start my life.
Absolutely.
But we are accountable for the conversation.
Yeah.
We do have to speak up.
They
on
told me
those
not to
things.
say this. No, okay, that's another whole conversation. I'm just joking.
I was there for that. That was interesting.
Okay, I get. Okay, so I'm understanding now. Wow, that's interesting.
No, and that's
Oh my gosh.
why we're, good that we're having this conversation also.
Yeah,
but
this is good.
Definitely with freeloaders, renters, and buyers, is that we want to make sure people leave with an understanding that if they find themselves in that situation, what to do. The spirit of discernment, we call it in the church or in the word, where we start seeing things and you start seeing the patterns of someone. People will show you who they are before they even tell you who they are.
Yes.
You have to be keen to see what type of personality they have, the patterns. Can you trust them? How's their credit?
How would you know? About
No,
You better have good credit.
You asked, look, can I see your credit report?
Well, okay.
That's a,
I don't know.
How would you know the credit though if you don't see their credit report?
I feel like that's later on down the line. That comes later on when you guys have developed some sort of situation, which you can kind of usually tell, like based off of how a person is living life, how bad or good it is.
Yeah.
But I definitely think after a time of serious dating, then you can start to get into some.
I know some people.
They always want to eat out, they don't eat at
No.
home.
We recommend.
Is that
I'll
good
say
or
I
bad?
recommend.
Bad.
Okay. I was making sure. Because
All
it
they
take money
do
to
is eat out, they don't want to eat at home. That means they don't know how to save money.
Wow.
See?
See, I know some people that's living some good lifestyles and have
That's
bad credit, so I
That's
don't know.
terrible.
If they can't
I mean,
cook,
they can't cook.
that's bad.
But no, it does take a minute to understand. I'm just a firm believer in that word dating. I think you should go out with different people.
Yeah.
Just I'm not talking about spread yourself around, because that gets blurred again.
Yeah.
Dating is not holding hands, not kissing, not I'm into you already after a day or two. No. You have your value system.
So what does it call if they're kissing and holding hands?
You exclusive at that point.
I mean, in my opinion, that's commitment. That's just
But see,
me.
this one dude just told me the girl said there wasn't even a date. He just texted me that. That's why this is all messed up. We need Jesus. We need some deliverance with
Lord
it. It's
Jesus.
so, he just texted me that. He's like, apparently that she said that this isn't dating, that there's holding hands, kissing.
Nah, you together with that
No,
one.
look. And listen, I'll say it this way. Teach
He's
his
a
own.
millennial too.
But the fact of the matter is you have to set up your value system and your boundaries.
Yeah.
Up
Your
front.
boundaries are very, very key in every relationship. You don't disrespect your mama because you have a boundary around that.
Right.
You don't disrespect, people that you admire or someone you hold in reference or respect because you hold a boundary around that.
Right.
And that's how your relationship should be. I know how to talk to my wife. The word lets us know, dwell with your wife with understanding. So I have to know my wife. I know where my boundaries, I know what I can say, and what I can't say. In fact, would you like to say anything? Okay, come here.
This is my first lady, everybody. This is First Lady Colette Arce.
Come on in.
First Lady of Destiny.
Come here.
Yeah, just
Come here.
You can share a mic, share a mic.
Yes.
You want the blue one or the gray one? The gray one from your kid.
I'm glad I did my hair. I didn't know I was gonna be on camera. I thought I was just gonna be in the background. But, no, I just want to say, not even a question, but just a comment, that I'm just proud of these young people, for doing this play, as I call it. And just taking the characters and making them your own, and just being willing to do this so that you can bring healing, not just to your generation, but anyone desiring to be in a relationship, a healthy relationship. And there's some people who don't desire to be in a relationship, so I don't want to just say everybody does, but for those that do, they have to realize that it is a process, that you don't just wake up one day and fall into a healthy relationship. There's a process, there's education and knowledge and resources that you need to gather.
Right.
And yes, and know that it's work.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people don't want to do the work, as we talked about these wonderful millennials.
Yes.
Some of them, I won't say all of them, but some of them don't want to do the work. And it is work, you know, and it goes back to what you all said too about the communication.
Yeah.
That, like you said, if you're with me every day for a year and a half, you wouldn't have to tell me. I would assume
Yeah.
that we are in a relationship and it doesn't need to be stated. But what I've learned with this generation, I don't know, the social media, technology, you have to be so clear.
Come on now.
So now I would recommend it. Maybe back in the day, we might not have had to say that we wouldn't have. If I'm with you every day, the same thing with my husband and I. Once we went on our first date, we were almost literally together every day after that. And we didn't have to say, oh, you're my boo, or you're, no, we knew.
Right,
we're
right.
together, we're exclusive, we're doing everything together.
Right.
So it just makes sense. But
Right.
with this generation,
I swear I was born in the wrong time.
it's a whole nother, you better make it clear, crystal, because people are wilding out there these
Come on
days.
now.
So that's just all I have to say.
And you just said something about falling in love. I had somebody tell me before, I don't want to fall in love. I want to walk into it with intention. And I was like,
Yes,
Yes.
be deliberate about it, absolutely.
I like that.
I use that same line on Mrs. Arce, same line.
oh my gosh.
Keep intention.
This is all the time, guys.
What is a
Smooth.
Maya Angelou?
Don't disrespect my Angelou. Don't disrespect
We
it.
love her.
It just sounds like that's something she would say.
Hilarious,
I want to
funny.
walk into love with
That's
intention.
I'm so annoyed.
It has to be intentional, I
Has to be
agree.
intentional. Wow, this hour has gone by so quick. I'm so excited and proud of you guys.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
gals. This is gonna be amazing. So let us know when, on November 9th, give us a little bit.
November 9th,
Okay.
here at Calvary Baptist Church at 6 o'clock. We're gonna have some, what do we call it, love?
Like refreshments?
That light refreshment.
First come, first served.
Now, it was all in.
That lets you know you won't be falling asleep as we're trying to pretty much do this. But come out, be inspired, be encouraged, have a good time, interact, amen. And we're
Amen.
gonna have a good time in the Lord. I believe that. So if you're not churchy, it's all good. It's for everyone
Mhm.
and all ages.
Absolutely.
Because again, somebody has been a freeloader
Come on
and
now.
had been a renter. And hopefully one day you become a buyer.
Amen.
So we encourage everyone to come out. You can go to eventbrite.com and you can pull up, or just click on our Facebook page. I'll have the link below afterwards. You can go there and purchase a ticket. It's a donation of $10. Come on, that's
Come on.
that's the acting deal now.
Come on now. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is gonna be so good.
Yeah.
4081 West and El Segundo is the address here in Hawthorne, California. Calvary Baptist, November 9th, is that a Saturday?
Yes.
Saturday, beginning at 6, like
6
refreshments.
o'clock. That's CP. Not late.
Not freeloader.
Not freeloaders.
Not
So
freeloader.
be here. I'm gonna be here. I'm excited.
Yes.
So definitely come out. You can hit me up in my inbox. You can email me. And Rick, you're gonna have a link and all that,
Yeah,
and I'll put it
absolutely.
on
I'll
here
have a
to the
link. I'll
single
send it.
lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely come on out. I'll have it on all my social media accounts. So I'm excited. Okay, guys. Any last words before we wrap this up? No.
Everything they said they were lying. They're not saying wow.
We just look forward to seeing all of you.
No.
Yes.
We do.
We
That's
do.
crazy.
All right, thank you. Until next week. See you next time on Marriage and the Single Lady. Bye. Thank you.
He said everything they said
Was a lie. They saving themselves. That's crazy.
Did you keep reading my phone?
Yeah. Did you turn this off?
I didn't.
It's still
I'm
live.
so tired. Like,
Legacy is getting
I didn't
up and
think,
walking out.
I flew in at like
That's crazy.
9. I gave my mom the wrong time, so she like circled the airport for an hour, and then I